Chapter number 4, Postmodern Trends in Indian Art and Architecture. From the 2nd century BC onwards, various rulers established their controls over the vast Mauryan Empire, the Shangas, Kanvas, Kushanas, and Guptas in the north and parts of the central India, the Satavahanas, Ikshvakus, Abhiras, Vakatakas in the southern and the western India. Incidentally, the period of the 2nd century BC also marked the rise of the main Brahminical sects such as the Vaishnavas and the Shaivas, 2nd century BC onwards. There are numerous sites dating back to the 2nd century BC in India. Some of the prominent examples of the finest sculptures are found at the Vidisha, Bharat, MP, Bodh Gaya, Bihar, Jagapete, Andhra Pradesh, Mathura, UP, Khandagiri, Udayagiri, Odisha, Bhaja near Pune, and Pavani near Nagpur, Madhya Maharashtra. So the image of Yakshini in Bharat in MP. Bharat sculptures are tall like the images of the Yaksha and Yakshini in the Mauryan period. Modeling of the sculpture volume is in low relief, maintaining linearity. Images stick to the picture plane. In the relief panels depicting the natives, illusion of three-dimensionality is shown with tilted perspective. Clarity in the narrative is enhanced by selecting main events. At Bharat, narrative panels are shown with fewer characters, but as the time progresses, apart from the main character in the story, others also start appearing in the picture space. At times, more than one event at one geographical place is clubbed in the picture space, or only a single main event is depicted in the pictorial space. Availability of the space is utilized to the minimum by sculptures. Folded hands in the narratives as well as single figures of the yakshas and yakshinis are shown flat clinging to the chest. But in some cases, especially in the later times, the hands are shown with the natural projections against the chest. Some examples show how artisans who were working at the collective level had to understand the methods of the carving. Initially, dressing the surface of the stone slabs appears as the main concern. Later, the human body and other forms were sculpted. Due to shallow carving of the picture surface, projection of the hands and the feet was not possible, hence, the folded hands and awkward position of the feet. There is a general stiffness in the body and the arms, but gradually such visual appearance was modified by making images with deep carvings, pronounced volume, and the very naturalistic representation of human and animal bodies. Sculptures at Bharat, Bodh Gaya, Sanchi Stup 2, and the Jagapeta are good examples. Narrative reliefs at Bharat show how artisans used the pictorial language very effectively to communicate stories. In one such narrative, showing Queen Mayadevi's, that is, mother of the Siddhartha Gautam, showing Queen Mayadevi's dreams. A descending elephant is shown. The queen is shown reclining on the bed, whereas an elephant is shown on the top, heading towards the womb of the Queen Mayadevi. On the other hand, the depiction of a Jataka story is very simple, narrated by clubbing the events according to the geographical location of the story, like the depiction of the Ruru Jataka, where the Bodhisattva deer is rescuing a man on his back. The other event in the same picture frame depicts the king standing with his army and about to shoot an arrow at the deer, and the man who was rescued by the deer is also shown along with the king, pointing a finger at the deer. According to the story, the man promised the deer after his rescue that he would not disclose his identity to anybody. But when the king makes a proclamation of reward for disclosing the identity of the deer, he turns hostile and takes the king to the same jungle where he had seen the deer. Such Jataka stories became part of the stupa decoration. Interestingly, with the rise in the construction of the stupas in various parts of the country, regional stylistic variations are also began to emerge. One main characteristic of all the male images of the first second century BCE is the knotted headgear. In many sculptures, it is very consistent. Some of the sculptures found at the Bharat are displayed in the Indian Museum, Kolkata. Sanchi. The next phase of sculpture development at Sanchi Stupa 1, Mathura, and Vengi in Andhra Pradesh, Guntur district is noteworthy in the stylistic progression. Stupa 1 at Sanchi has upper as well as lower Pradakshina Patha or circumambulatory path. It has four beautifully decorated toranas depicting various events and from the life of the Buddha and the Jatakas. Figure compositions are in high relief, filling up the entire space. Depiction of the posture gets naturalistic and there is no stiffness in the body. Heads have considerable projections in the picture space. Rigidity 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 in the contours get reduced and the images are given movement. Narration gets elaborated. Carving techniques appear more advanced than Bharat. Symbols continue to be used representing the Buddha and the Manushi Buddhas or the past Buddhas according to the textual tradition. There are 24 Buddhas, but only the first one, Dipankar, and the last 6 are pictorially represented. At Sanchi Stupa 1, narratives get more elaborated. However, the depiction of the dream episode remains very simple, showing the reclining image of the queen and the elephant at the top. The historical narratives, such as the siege of Kushinara, Buddha's visit to Kapilvastu, visit of Ashok to the Ramgram Stupa, are carved with considerable details. In Mathura, images of this period bear the same quality but are different in the depiction of the physiognomic details. Mathura, Sarnath, and Gandhara schools. The 1st century CE onwards, Gandhara, now in Pakistan, Mathura in the northern India, and Vengi in the Andhra Pradesh emerged as important centers of art production. That is first century CE onwards. Buddha in the symbolic form got a human form in Mathura and Gandhara. The sculpture tradition in Gandhara had the confluence of Bactria, Parthi, and the local Gandhara traditions. The local sculpture tradition in Mathura became so strong that the tradition spread to other parts of northern India. The best example in this regard is the stupa sculptures found at the Sanghol in the Punjab. The Buddha image at the Mathura is modeled on the lines of the earlier Yaksha images, whereas in Gandhara it has Hellenistic features. Images of Vaishnava and Shaivas are mainly the Lingas and Mukhlingas. The images of Vaishnavas and Shaivas faiths are found at the Mathura, but the Buddhist images are found in large numbers. It may be noted that the images of the Vishnu and Shiva are represented by their ayudhas, that is, weapons. There is boldness in carvings. There is boldness in carving the large images. The volume of the images is projected out of the picture plane. The faces are round and smiling. Heaviness in the sculpture volume is reduced to relaxed flesh. The garments of the body are clearly visible and they cover the left shoulder. Images of the Buddha, Yaksha, Yakshinis, Shaivite and Vaishnavite deities and the portrait statues are profusely sculptured. In the 2nd century CE, images in the Mathura get sensual routinity increases. They become flashier. In the 3rd century CE, treatment of the sculpture volume changes by reducing the extreme flashiness. Movement in the posture are shown by increasing distance between the two legs as well as by using bends in the body posture. Softness in the surface continues to get refined. The trend continues in the 4th century CE, but in the late 4th century CE, the massiveness and the fleshiness is reduced further and the flesh becomes more tightened. The volume of the drapery also gets reduced, and in the 5th and the 6th century CE, the drapery is integrated into the sculptural mass. Transparent quality in the robes of the Buddha images is evident. In this period, two important schools of sculptures in the northern India are worth noting. The traditional center Mathura remained the main art production site, whereas the Sarnath and Kosambi also emerged as important centers of art production. Many Buddha images and the Sarnath have plain transparent drapery covering both shoulders, and the halo around the head has very little ornamentation, whereas the Mathura Buddha images continue to depict folds of the drapery in the Buddha images, and the halo around the head is profusely decorated. One can visit museums at Mathura, Sarnath, Varanasi, New Delhi, Chennai, Amravati, etc. The early temples. While construction of stupas continued, Brahminical temples and images of the gods also started getting constructed. Often temples were decorated with images of the gods. Myths mentioned in the Puranas became part of the narrative representation of the Brahminical religion. Each temple had a principal image of a god. The shrines of the temple were of three kinds: Sandhara, Nirandhara, and Sarvatobhadra. Sandhara type, that is without Pradakshina-patha; Nirandhara type, that is with Pradakshina-patha; and Sarvatobhadra, that is which can be accessed from all the sides. Some of the important temples sites of this period are Deogarh in UP, Iran, Nachna Kothara, and Udaygiri near Vidisha in Madhya Pradesh. These temples are simple structures consisting of veranda, a hall, and a shrine at the rear. They will be discussed in detail. Among the important stupa sites outside the Gangetic Valley is Devni Muri in Gujarat. It is in the subsequent centuries, sculptures had little variations while the slender images with transparent drapery remained the dominant aesthetic sensibility. Buddhist monuments of South India. Buddhist monuments of South India. Vengi in Andhra Pradesh has many stupa sites like the Jagyapita, Amravati, Bhattiprolu, Nagarjuna Konda, Goli, etc. Amravati has a Mahachatya and had many sculptures which are now preserved in the Chennai Museum. Amravati site Amaravati Site Museum, National Museum, New Delhi, and the British Museum, London. Like the Sanchi Stupa, the Amaravati Stupa also has Pradakshina path enclosed with the Vedika on which many narrative sculptures are depicted. The domical stupa structure is covered with relief stupa sculptures slabs, which is a unique feature. The Turana of the Amravati stupa has disappeared over a period of time. Events from the life of the Buddha and the Jataka stories are depicted. Though in the Amravati stupa there is evidence of construction activity in the 3rd century BCE, it was best developed in the 1st and 2nd centuries CE. Like Sanchi, the early phase is devoid of Buddha images, but during the later phase, in the 2nd and the 3rd century CE, the Buddha images are carved on the drum slabs and in many other places. Interior space in the composition is created by different postures of the figures such as semi-back, back profile, frontal, semi-frontal, sides, etc. Sculptures form in this area is characterized by intense emotions. Figures are slender, have a lot of movement. Bodies are shown in three bends, that is Tribhanga, and the sculpture composition is more complex than at Sanchi. Linearity becomes flexible. Dynamic movements breaks the staticness of form. The idea of creating three-dimensional space in the leaf sculpture is devised by using pronounced volume, angular bodies, and complex overlapping. However, absolute attention has been paid to the clarity to form. Absolute attention has been paid to the clarity of form despite its size and role in the narrative. Narratives are profusely depicted, which includes events from the life of the Buddha and the Jataka stories. There are a number of Jataka scenes that have not been completely identified. In the depiction of the birth event, the queen is showing reclining on a bed surrounded by female attendants, and a small sized elephant is carved on the upper frame of the composition, showing the dream of the Queen Maidevi. In another leaf, four events related to the birth of the Buddha are shown. These represent varied ways of depicting the narratives. The animated movement in the figures get reduced in the sculptures of Nagarjuna Konda and Goli in the 3rd century CE. Even within the relatively low leaf volume than in the Amaravati sculptures, artists at artists at Nagarjunakonda and the Goli managed to create the effect of the protruding surfaces of the body, which is suggestive in the nature and look very integral. Independent Buddha images are also found at Amaravati, Nagarjunakonda, and Guntapalle. Guntapalle is a rock-cut cave site near Iluru. Small apsidal and circular chaitya halls have been excavated belonging to the 2nd century BCE. The other important site where the rock-cut stupas have been excavated is Anakapalli near Vishakhapatnam. In Karnataka, Sannati is the largest stupa site excavated so far. It also has a stupa like the one in the Amaravati decorated with sculptural relief. The Nagarjunakonda panel in Andhra Pradesh. Construction of a large number of stupas does not mean that there were no structured temples or viharas or chaityas. We do get evidences, but no structured chaityas or viharas survived. Among the important structured viharas mentioned may be made of the Sanchi apsidal chaitya structure, that is temple number 18, which is a simple shrine temple having front pillars and a hall at the back. Similar structured temples at the Guntapalle are also worth mentioning, along with the images of the Buddha. Other Buddhist images of the Bodhisattvas like Avalokiteshvara, Padmapani, Vajrapani, Amitabh, and Maitreya Buddha started getting sculptured. However, with the rise of the Vajrayana Buddhism, many Bodhisattva images were added as a part of the personified representations of the certain virtues or qualities as propagated by the Buddhist religious principles for the welfare of the masses. Cave traditions in the Western India. In Western India, many Buddhist caves dating back to the 2nd century BC onwards have been excavated. Mainly three architectural types were executed. First, apsidal vault roof Chaitya Hall, found at Ajanta, Pitalkhora, Bhaja. Second, apsidal vault roof pillarless hall, found at Thana, Nadsur. And third, flat roofed quadrangular hall with a circular chamber at the back, found at Condivide. The front of the Chaitya hall is dominated by the motif of a semicircular Chaitya arch with an open front, which has a wooden facade, and in some cases there is no dominating Chaitya arch window such as found at Condivide. In all the Chaitya caves, a stupa at the back is common. In the 1st century BC, some modifications were made to the standard plan of the apsidal vault roof variety, where the hall becomes rectangular like the Ajanta cave number 9. With the stone screen wall as a facade. It is also found at Beseda, Bedsa, Nashik, Karla, and Kanheri. Many cave sites have the standard first type of the Chaitya halls in the subsequent period. In the Karla, the biggest rock cut Chaitya hall was excavated. The cave consists of open courtyard with two pillars, a stone screen wall to protect from rain, a veranda, a stone screen wall as facade, an apsidal vault roof Chaitya hall with pillars and a stoop at the back. Karla Chaitya hall is decorated with human and animal figures. They are heavy in their execution and move in the picture space. Further elaboration of the Karla Chaitya hall plan is observed at Kanheri cave number 3. Though the cave's interior was not fully furnished, it shows how the carving progressed from the time to time. Subsequently, the quadrangular flat-roofed variety became the most preferred design and is extensively found at many places. The viharas are excavated in all the cave sites. The plane of the vihara consists of the veranda, hall, and cells around the walls of the hall. Some of the important vihara caves are Ajanta cave number 12, Bedsa cave number 11, Nashik cave number 3, 10, and 17. Many of the early viharas caves are carved with interior decorative motifs like Chaitya arches and the Vedika designs over the cell doors of the cave. Facade design in the Nasik cave number 3, 10, and 17 became a distinct achievement. The Vihara caves at Nashik were excavated with front pillars carved with Ghata base and Ghata capital with human figures. One such Bihara cave was also excavated at the Junnar, which is popularly known as the Ganesh Leni because an image of the Ganesh belonging to the later period was installed in it. Later, a stupa was added at the back of the hall of the vihara, and it became a Chaitya Vihara. The stupa in the 4th and the 5th century CE have Buddhist images attached. Junnar has the largest cave excavations, more than 200 caves found around the hills of the towns, whereas Kanderi in Mumbai has 108 excavated caves. The most important sites are Ajanta, Pitalkhora, Ellora, Nasik, Bhaja, Junnar, Karla, Kanheri. Ajanta, Ellora, and Kanheri continue to flourish. Earlier, it was presumed that because of the absence of the Buddha images, the caves were considered belonging to the orthodox faith of Buddhism, that is the Theravadins. But with the discovery of the Konkan Maurya inscriptions mentioning the Saka era 322, that is 400 CE, it is now satisfactorily proved that the cave activity in Western Deccan was an ongoing process. Many caves have been carved with Buddha images where the image does not exist anymore. It may also be noted that many caves are converted into modern Hindu shrines and have become popular worshipping sites. Ajanta, the most famous cave site, is the Ajanta. It is located in the Aurangabad district of the Maharashtra state. Ajanta has 29 caves. It has 4 Chaitya caves datable to the earlier phase, that is the 2nd and the 1st century BCE, cave number 10 and 9, and later phase, that is 5th century CE, cave number 19 and 26. It has large Chaitya viharas and is decorated with the sculptures and paintings. Ajanta is the only surviving example of the painting of the 1st century BC and the 5th century CE. The caves at the Ajanta are, as well as in the Western Deccan, in the general have no precise chronology because of the lack of the known dated inscriptions. Cave number 9, 10, 12, 13 belong to the early phase. Cave number 11, 15, and 6 upper and lower, and cave number 7 belong to the phase earlier than the 5th century CE. The rest of the caves belong to the 5th century CE to the early 6th century CE. The Chaitya cave number 6 and 26, the Chaitya cave number 19, 26 are elaborately carved. Their facade is decorated with Buddha and Bodhisattva images. They are of the apsidal vault roof variety. Cave number 26 is a very big, and the entire interior hall is carved with a variety of the Buddha images. The biggest one is the Mahaparinibbana image. The rest of the caves are Vihara Chaitya caves. They consist of a pillared veranda, a pillared hall, and cells along the walls. The back wall has the main Buddha shrine. Shrine images at Ajanta are grand in size. Some of the Vihara caves are unfinished, such as cave number 5, 14, 23, 24, 20, 29. Among the important patterns at Ajanta were the Varaha, the pattern of cave number 16. The Prime Minister of the Vakataka King Harisena Upendra Gupta pattern of the cave number 17 se 20. The local king of region and the feudatory of the Vakatakan king Harishana Buddha Bhadra pattern of the cave number 26 and the Mathura Das pattern of cave number 4. Many paintings have survived in cave number 1, 2, 16 and 17. Paintings have a lot of typological variations. Outward projections are used in the Ajanta paintings of the 5th century CE. Lines are clearly defined and are very rhythmic. Body color gets merged with the outer line, creating the effect of the volume. The figures are heavy like the sculptures of the Western India. The caves of the early phase also have paintings, especially cave number 9 and 10. Paintings in the cave number 10 are an afterthought and is evident from the plastering over the early inscriptions inside the cave. On the other hand, the paintings in the cave number 9 are part of the pre-planning. They belong to the 1st century BC. The figures are broad with heavy proportion and arranged in the picture space in the linear way. Lines are sharp, colors are limited. Lines are sharp, colors are limited. Figures in these caves are painted with considerable naturalism, naturalism, and there is no over stylization. Events are grouped together according to geographical location. Tired, horizontally arranged figures appear as a convenient choice of artisans. Separation of geographic location has been indicated by using outward architectural bands. Figure appears like the Sanchi sculptures, which indicate how the lithic and painting traditions were progressing simultaneously. The frontal knot of the headgear of the figures follows the same pattern as that of the sculptures. However, there are a few different patterns of headgears. The second phase of the painting can be studied from the images of the Buddha paintings on the walls of the pillars of the cave number 10 and 9. These Buddha figures are different from the figures painted in the 5th century CE. Each developments in the paintings need to be understood in the context of the religious requirement. Cave excavation. Cave excavation and cave excavation and cave excavation and paintings were simultaneous processes, and dating of the paintings follows the date of the cave excavations. The next stage of the development is observed mainly in the paintings of the cave number 16, 17, 1 and 2. However, it does not mean that the pictures had not been painted in other caves. In fact, almost in all the finished excavations, pictures have been painted, but very few have survived. Paintings have typological variations in these caves. It may also be observed that various skin colors are used in the paintings, such as brown, yellowish brown, greenish yellow, ochre, etc., which represent a multicolored population. Paintings of the cave number 16 and 17 have precise and elegant painterly quality. They do not bear the ponderous volume of the sculptures of the caves. Movements of the figures are very rhythmic. Brown, thick dark lines are used as contours. Lines are forcefully Lines are forceful and full of energy. Attempts are also made to give highlights in the figural compositions. The paintings of the cave number 1 and 2 are very orderly and naturalistic, well integrated with the sculptures of the caves. Architectural setting is simple, and the arrangement of the figures is delineated in the circular form to create three-dimensionality, and the special effects. Half closed, elongated eyes are employed. Different guilds of artisans seem to have worked on the paintings of these caves, which can be inferred from their typological and stylistic variations. Naturalistic postures and unexaggerated facial features are used as exceptional types. The themes of the paintings are the events from the life of the Buddha, the Jatakas, and the Avadanas. Some of the paintings, such as the Sinhala Avadana, Simhala Avadana, Mahajanaka, Mahajanaka Jataka, and Vidur Pandita Jataka cover the entire wall of the caves. It is worth noting that Chadanta Jataka has been painted in the early cave number 10 with many details and events grouped according to their geographical locations. Events that happened in the jungle and events that happened in the palace are separated by the locations. In cave number 10, Chadanta faithfully follows the Pali text, whereas the one painted in the cave number 17 is very different. In one of the events, the Bodhisattva Chadanta is shown removing his own tusk and giving it to the hunter, Sonuttar. The other important paintings are the famous Padmapani and Vajrapani in cave number 1. However, it may be observed that the images of the Padmapani and Vajrapani are very common in the Ajanta, but the best preserved paintings are in the cave number 1. Some figures in the cave number 2 have affiliation with the Vengi sculptures, and at the same time, the influence of the Vidarbha sculpture tradition is also observed in the delineation of some sculptures. The subsequent development of the painting tradition has been discussed in the chapter. Ellora. Another important cave site located in the Aurangabad district is the Ellora. It is located 100 kilometers from the Ajanta and has 32 Buddhist, Brahminical, and Jain caves. Ellora is a unique art historical site in the country as it has monasteries associated with the three religions dating from the 5th century CE onwards to the 11th century CE. It is also unique. It is also unique in terms of stylistic eclecticism, that is confluence of many styles at one place. The caves of the Ellora and Aurangabad show the ongoing differences between the two religions, Buddhism and Brahminical. There are 12 Buddhist caves having many images belonging to the Vajrayana Buddhism like Tara, Maha, Mayuri, Ashok, Ash, Akshobhya, Avalokiteshvara, Maitreya, Amitabh, etc. Buddhist caves are big in size and are of single, double, and triple stories. These pillars are massive. Ajanta also has excavated double storied caves, but at Ellora, the triple story is a unique achievement. All the caves were plastered and painted, but nothing visible is left. The shrine Buddha images are big in size. They are generally guarded by the images of Padmapani and Vajrapani. Cave number 12, which is a triple story excavation, has images of Tara, Avalokiteshvara, Manushi Buddhas, and the images of the Vairochana, Akshobhya, Ratna Sambhava, Amitabh, Amog Siddhi, Vajra Sattva, and Vajra Raja. On the other hand, the only double story cave of the Brahminical faith is the cave number 14. Pillar designs grow from the Buddhist caves, and when they reach the Jain caves belonging to the 9th century CE, they become very ornate and the decorative forms get heavy protrusion. The Brahminical cave number 13 and 28 have many sculptures. Many caves are dedicated to Shaivism, but the images of the both Shaiva and Vishnu and their various forms according to the Puranic narrative are depicted. Among the Shaivite themes Ravana shaking Mount Kailash, among the Shaivite themes, Ravana shaking Mount Kailash, Andhaka, Andhaka Suravardhana, Andhaka Survad, Andhaka Survad, Andhaka Survad, Kalyan Sundara are profusely depicted, whereas among the Vaishnavite themes, the different avatars of the Vishnu are depicted. The sculptures at Ellora are monumental and have protruding volumes that create deep recession of in the picture space. The images are heavy and shown considerable sophistication in the handling of the sculpture volume. Various guilds at Ellora came from different places like Vidarbha, Karnataka, and Tamil Nadu and carved the sculptures. Thereby, it is the most diverse site in the India in terms of sculpture styles. Cave number 16 is known as Kailash Leni. The rock cut temple has been carved out of a single rock, a unique achievement of the artisans, which will be discussed in the next chapter. Among the important Shaivite caves are cave number 29, cave number 21. The plan of cave number 29 is almost like that of the main cave at Elephanta. The sculptural quality of the cave number 29, 21, 17, 14, 16 is amazing for its monumentality and vigorous movements in the picture space. Elephanta caves and other sites. The Elephanta caves located near the Mumbai were originally a Buddhist site, which was later dominated by the Shaivite faith. It is contemporary with Ellora, and its sculptures show slenderness in the body with stark light and dark effects. The other noteworthy cave site is the Bagh located near Indore in Madhya Pradesh. The tradition of rock cut caves continued in the Deccan, and they are found not only in the Maharashtra but also in the Karnataka, mainly in the Badami and Aihole, executed under the patronage of the Chalukyas. In Andhra Pradesh, in the areas of the Vijayawada and the Tamil Nadu, mainly at the Mahabalipuram, under the patronage of the Pallavas. The post 6th century development of the art history in the country depended more on the political patronage than the collective public patronage of the early historic periods. Mention may also be made of the terracotta figurines that are found at many places all over the country. They show a parallel tradition with the religious lithic sculptures as well as independent local tradition. Many terracotta figures of the various sizes are found which show their popularity. They are toys, religious figurines as well as figurines made for healing purposes as part of the belief systems. Cave tradition in the eastern India. Like the Western India, Buddhist caves have also been excavated in the eastern India, mainly in the coastal regions of the Andhra Pradesh and in the Odisha. One of the main sites in the Andhra Pradesh is the Kuntapalli in Illiru district. The caves have been excavated in the hills along the structured monasteries. Perhaps, perhaps it is all among the very unique sites where the sculptures, stupas, viharas, and the caves are excavated at one place. The Kuntapalla Chaitya cave is circular, with the stupa in the circular hall and a Chaitya arch caves at the entrance. The cave is relatively small when compared to the caves in the Western India. A number of vihara caves have been excavated. The main vihara caves, despite the small dimensions, have been decorated with the Chaitya arches on the exterior. They are rectangular with a vaulted roof and are carved single stories or double storied without a large central hall. These excavations date back to the 2nd century BCE. There are some excavations which were added in the subsequent centuries, but all are the Vihara type. Apart from Guntapalli, the other important cave sites is Rampe, Rampe Rampallam, which has very moderate small excavations, but there are rock cut stupas on the hillock. At Ankapalli, at Ankapalli near Vishakhapatnam, caves were excavated and a huge rock cut stupa was carved out of the hillock during the 4th 5th century CE. It is a unique site as it has the biggest rock cut stupa in the country. Many votive rock cut stupas all around the hillock have also been excavated. The rock cut cave tradition also existed in the Odisha. The earliest examples of the Udayagiri Khandagiri caves in the vicinity of the Bhubaneswar. These caves are scarred and have inscriptions of Karvelaging. According to the inscriptions, the caves were meant of Jain monks. There are numerous single cell excavations. Some have been carved in huge independent boulders and given the shape of the animals. The weak caves include a cave with a pillared veranda with cells at the back. The upper part of the cells is decorated with a series of Chaitya arches and narratives that still continue in the folklores of the region. The figures in this cave are voluminous, move freely in the picture space, and are an excellent example of qualitative carving. Some examples in this complex are excavated later, sometime in the 8th century CE. Stupa at the Sanchi Stupa. Sanchi, about 50 kilometers from Bhopal, the capital of the Madhya Pradesh, is a World Heritage Site. Along the other relatively small stupas, there are three main stupas at Sanchi. Stupa 1 is presumed to have the relics of the Buddha. Stupa 2, the relics of the 10 less famous arhats belonging to the three different generations. Their names are found on the relic casket. Stupa 3 has the relics of the Sariputta and Mahamaugalyana. Stupa 1, known as the Stupa 1, known for the carvings on its gateways, is one of the finest examples of the stupa architecture. Originally, the stupa was a small brick structure which expanded over a period and was covered with stone, Vedika, and the Torana, that is gateways. The Toran or Torana gateways. The Ashokan lion capital pillar with an inscription is found in the southern side of the stupa, indicating how Sanchi became a center of monastic and artistic activities. The south gateway was made first, followed by the others. The Pradakshina path around the stupa is covered with the Vedika. There is also the upper Pradakshina path, which is unique to this site. The four gateways are decorated profusely with sculptures. Buddha, Buddha is shown symbolically as an empty throne, feet, chhatra, stupas, etc. Buddha is shown symbolically. Buddha is shown symbolically as an empty throne, feet, chhatra, stupas, etc. Toranas are constructed in all four directions. These stylistic differences indicate their possible chronology from the 1st century BC onwards. Though Stupa 1 is the oldest stupa, the carvings of the image of the Vedika of the Stupa 2 are earlier than those on the Stupa 1. Jatakas also became an important part of the narratives in the stupas. The figures at Sanchi, despite being small in dimensions, show considerable mastery of sculptures. Mastery of sculpting. Their physiognomic treatment of the body shows both depth and dimension, which are very naturalistic. There are guardian images on the pillars and the Shalbhanjika, that is, lady holding the branch of a tree. Sculptures are remarkable in their treatment of volume. The rigidity of the earlier sculptures of the Stupa 2 is no more there. Each Torana consists of two vertical pillars and three horizontal bars on the top. Each Torana bar is decorated with different sculptured themes on the front as well as the back, supporting extensions of the lowermost horizontal bar from below are the images of the Shal Banjiga. Seated Bodhisattva, Katra mound in Mathura. So Mathura was a great center for making sculptures during the early historic period, and many images have been found here. A large number of images dating back to the Kushana period is from Mathura. A distinct way of sculpting practice at Mathura makes the images found here different from those at the other centers of the country. The images of the Buddha from the Katra mound belong to the 2nd century CE. It represents the Buddha with two Bodhisattva attendants. The Buddha is seated in the Padmasana, that is, cross folded legs, and the right hand is in the Abhay Mudra, raised a little above the shoulder level, whereas the left hand is placed on the left thigh. The Usha Nisha, that is, hair knot, is shown with a vertically raised projection. Mathura sculptures from this period are made with a light volume, having fleshy body. The shoulders are broad. The Sanghati, that is garment. The Sanghati covers only one shoulder and has been made prominently visible, covering the left hand, whereas while covering the torso, the independent volume of the garment is reduced to the body torso. The Buddha is seated on the lion throne. The attendant figures are identified as the images of the Padmapani and the Vajrapani. Bodhisattvas, as one holds a lotus and the other a Vajra, that is thunderbolt. They wear crowns and are on either side of the Buddha. The halo around the head of the Buddha is very large and is decorated with simple geometric motifs. There are two flying figures placed diagonally above the halo. They bear a lot of movement in the picture space. Flexibility replaces the earlier rigidity in the images, giving them a more earthy look. Curves of the body are as delicately carved. The upright postures of the Buddha image creates movement in space. The face is round with fleshy cheeks. The bulge of the belly is sculptured with controlled musculature. It may be noted that there are numerous examples of sculptures from the Kushana period in Mathura, but this image is representative and is important for the understanding of the development of the Buddha image in the subsequent periods. Buddha head in Takshila. The Buddha head from Takshila in the Gandhara region, now in the Pakistan, dates back to the 2nd century CE and belongs to the Kushana period. The image shows hybridized pictorial conventions that developed during the Gandhara period. It has Greco-Roman elements in the treatment of sculpture. The Buddha head has typical Hellenistic elements that have grown over a period of time. The curly hair of the Buddha is thick, having a covered layer of the sharp and lean strokes over the head. The forehead plane is large, having protruding eyeballs. The eyes are half closed, and the face and the cheeks are not round like the images found in the other parts of the India. There is certain amount of heaviness in the figure of the Gandhara region. The ears are elongated, especially the earlobes. The treatment of the form bears linearity and the outlines are sharp. The surface is smooth. The image is very expressive. The interplay of the light and the dark is given considerably attention by using the curving and protruding planes of the eye socket and the planes of the nose. The expression of the calmness is the central point of the attraction. Modeling of the face enhances the naturalism of three-dimensionality, assimilating various traits of Achaemenian, Parthian, and Bactrian traditions into local tradition is a hallmark of the Gandhara style. The Gandhara images have physiognomic features of the Greco-Roman tradition, but they display a very distinct way of treating physiognomic details that are not completely Greco-Roman. The source of development of the Buddha images as well as others has its genesis in its peculiar geopolitical conditions. It may also be observed that the northwestern part of India, which is now Pakistan, always had continuous habitation from the protohistoric times. It continued in the historical period as well. A large number of images have been found in the Gandhara region. They consist of narratives of the life of the Buddha, the narrations from the Jataka stories, and the Buddha and the Bodhisattva images. Then the seated Buddha at the Sarnath. This image of the Buddha from the Sarnath belonging to the late 5th century CE is housed in the site museum at Sarnath. It has been made in Chunar sandstone. The Buddha is shown seated on the throne in the Padmasana. It represents Dhamma Chakra Pravartana as can be seen from the figures on the throne. The panel below the throne depicts a chakra wheel in the center and a deer on the either side of the with his disciples. Thus it is the representation of the historical event of the Dharma Chakra Pravartana or the preaching of the Dhamma. This Buddha image is a fine example of the Sarnath school of sculpture. The body is slender as and well proportioned, but slightly elongated. The outlines are delicate, very rhythmic. Folded legs are expanded in order to create a visual balance in the picture space. Drapery clings to the body and is transparent to create the effect of the integrated volume. The face is round, the eyes are half closed, the lower lip is protruding, and the roundness of the cheeks has reduced as compared to the earlier images from the Kushana period at Mathura. The hands are shown in the Dhammachakra Pravartana Mudra, placed just below the chest. The neck is slightly elongated with two incised lines indicating folds. The Usha Nisha, that is hair knot, has circular curled heels. The aim of the sculpture in ancient India had always been to represent the Buddha as a great human being who achieved nibbana, that is cessation of the anger and hate. The back of the throne is profusely decorated with different motifs of flowers and creepers placed in a concentric circle. The central part of the halo is plain without any decoration. It makes the halo visually impressive. Decoration in halo and the back of the throne indicates the artisan's sensitivity. Sarnath Buddha images of this period show considerable softness in the treatment of the surface and Buddha. Transparent drapery becomes part of the physical body. Such refinement comes over a period of time, and these features continued in subsequent periods. There are many other Buddha images in the standing position from the Sarnath having features like transparent drapery, subtle movement, carved, carved separately, and placed about the memorial stupas around the Dharma Rajika stupa. These images are now preserved in the Sarnath Museum. They are either single or with the attendant figures of Bodhisattvas Padmapani and Vajrapani. And the Padmapani Bodhisattva Ajanta cave number, Padmapani Bodhisattva Ajanta cave number 1. So this painting on the back wall of the interior hall before the shrine antechamber in the end cave number 1 at Ajanta dates back to the late 5th century CE. The Bodhisattva is holding a Padma. The Bodhisattva is holding a Padma lotus. Has large shoulders and has 3 bends in the body, creating a movement in the picture space. The modeling is soft. Outlines are merged with the body volume, creating the effect of the 3-dimensionality. The figure of the Bodhisattva is wearing a big crown in which detailed rendering is visible. The head is slightly bent to the left, the eyes are half closed and are slightly elongated. The nose is sharp and light straight. Light color all over the projected planes of the face is aimed at creating an effect of three-dimensionality. The beaded necklace too has similar features. Broad and expanded shoulders create heaviness in the body. The torso is relatively round, lines are delicate, rhythmic, and define the contours of the body. The right hand is holding a lotus, and the left hand is extended in the space. The Bodhisattva is surrounded by small figures. The foreshortened right hand of the Bodhisattva makes the image more solid and effectively dense. The thread over the torso is shown with fine spiral lines indicating its dimensions. Each and every part of the body is given equal tension. Light red, brown, green, and blue colors are used. Light red, brown, green, and blue colors are used. Nose projections inside end of the lips with the lower lips projections and small chin contribute to the overall effect of the solidity in the figure composition. The paintings in the cave number 1 are of good quality and are better preserved. One can observe the certain typological and stylistic variations in the paintings of the Ajanta, indicating different guilds of artisans working on the cave paintings at Ajanta over the centuries. On the other side of the image, Vajrapani Bodhisattva has been painted. He holds a Vajra on his right hand and wears a crown. This image also bears the same pictorial qualities as the Padmapani cave number 1. As the Padmapani. Cave number 1 has many interesting paintings of Buddhist themes such as Maha Janak Jataka, Umang Jataka, etc. The Maha Janak Jataka is painted on the entire wall side, is the biggest native painting. It may be observed with the paintings of the Padmapani and Vajrapani, and Bodhisattvas are painted as shrine guardians. Similar such iconographic images, similar such iconographic arrangement is also observed in other caves of the Ajanta. However, Padmapani and Vajrapani in cave number 1 are among the best survived paintings of the Ajanta. Mara Vijaya Ajanta cave number 26. Mar Vijaya Ajanta cave number 26. The theme of the Mara Vijaya has been painted in the caves of the Ajanta. This is the only sculpture on the right wall of the cave number 26. It is sculpted near the colossal Buddha image of the Mahaparinibban. The panel shows the image of the Buddha in the center surrounded by the Mara's army along with his daughter. The event is a part of the Enlightenment. It is a personification of the commotion of the mind which the Buddha went through at the time of the Enlightenment. Mara represents desire. According to the narrative, there is a dialogue between the Buddha and the Mara, and the Buddha is shown with his right hand indicating towards earth as a witness to his generosity. This relief sculpture panel is highly animated and shows a very natural sculpturing style at the Ajanta. The composition is very complex with highly voluminous images. Their complex arrangement in the picture space is highly dynamic and generates considerable movement. The figure on the right shows Mara coming with his army consisting of various kinds of people. The figure on the right shows Mara coming with his army consisting of various kinds of people, including some with grotesque animal faces. The dancing figures at the lower base with the musicians have forward bulging waist, and one of the dancing figure has expanded her hands in the dancing posture with an angular frontal look. On the left lower end, the image of the Mara is shown contemplating how to disturb Siddhartha, the name of the Buddha before the enlightenment. The army of the Mara is shown marching towards the Buddha in the first half of the panel, whereas the lower half of the panel shows the departing army of the Mara giving him adorations. The centrally placed Buddha is in the Padmasana, and the tree at the back is shown by dense leaves. Some of the facial features of the Mara army has tacit characters of the sculptures from Vidarbha. The artists at Ajanta worked in guilds, and their stylistic affiliations can be traced by identifying such stylistic features. This is the largest sculptural panel at Ajanta. Though there are several big images in the caves of Ajanta, and especially located in the shrine antechamber as well as facade walls. Such a complex arrangement of the figures is unique. On the other hand, painted panels exhibit such complexities in their arrangement. A similar kind of arrangement of dancing figures in a panel is also observed at the Aurangabad caves. Aurangabad caves. Mahesh Murthy in the Elephanta. The image of Mahesh Murthy at Elephanta dates back to the early 6th century CE. It is located in the main shrine, main cave shrine, in the tradition of the Western Deccan. Sculpting it is one of the best examples of qualitative achievement in sculpting image in the rock cut caves. The image is large in size. The central head is the main Shiva figure, whereas the other two visible heads are of the Bhairava and the Uma. The central face is in the higher relief, having a round face, thick lips, and heavy eyelids. The lower lip is prominently protruded, showing a very different characteristic. The all-inclusive aspects of the Shiva is exhibited in this sculpture by soft modeling, smooth surface, and large face. The face of the Shiva Bhairava is clearly shown in profile in anger, with bulging eyes and mustache. The other face showing feminine character is of the Yuma, who is the consort of Shiva. One of the Shilpa texts mention 5 integrated faces of Shiva, and this image, despite being shown only 3 faces, is considered as the same variety, and the back faces are deemed as invisible. Each face has a different crown as per its iconographic prescription. This sculpture has been sculpted on the south wall of the cave along with the sculptures of the Ardhanarishvara and the Gandhara panel. Elephanta sculptures are known for their remarkable qualities of surface smoothness, elongation, and rhythmic movement. Their composition is very complex. The iconographic arrangements of this cave is replicated in cave number 29 at Ellora. Ajanta from figure A shows Anant from figure A shows Anant from Anant Padmanabh temple, Kasargod, Kerala. Figure B shows Shiva chasing the boar, a scene from the Kirtarjunia, Lipax temple in Andhra Pradesh. Figure C shows Chola king Raja and court poet Karuvar Devar, Thanjavur, 11th century, Tamil Nadu. D shows Shiva killing Tripurasura at Thanjavur. E shows Rama kills Ravana, a scene from Ramayana panel, Matan Cheri Palace, Kerala, Matan Cheri Palace, Kerala. And the F shows Shasta Padmanabhapuram Palace, Padmanabhapuram Palace, Thakkala in Tamil Nadu.